For this advice video, I'm going to debunk why DHV stories are total bullshit. That isn't transferable, especially to lower SMV Asian men without status maxing. DHV stories is for night game, not for day game. I was a day game coach, trying to make people understand that not everyone can status max for DHV stories, unless you're an entrepreneur with 6 to 7 figures who can travel at will with a high status job. Number one, perceived natural status. If you look blackwash, you're 8 out of 10. If you look whitewash Indian, you're 4 out of 10. Congratulations. High status job. DJ, club promoter, all that stuff. Not a fucking engineer. Number three, high status lifestyle. This is the only thing you can do when you are non-entrepreneur for status maxing. Number four, thorough money status advantage. That way you can travel around the world. And number five, exotic advantage. So if you're a Negro, you're in Europe, you have an exotic advantage. The great Negro delusion. I really wanted to get people to see that DHV stories doesn't move things forward in Daygame. It is a total myth. So I wouldn't have to get people to fall for this tactic, since the only thing they can level up is lifestyle at most. Normal people, they can't fucking travel. Only 2 weeks in a year for a third world money status advantage. Also, they have a boring engineer, technical left brain, logical job with lower status. So who am I? This only works if you're an entrepreneur. This will not work for engineers who can't travel, but have obligations where you can lose your fucking job if you're twerking in front of women, or women are twerking in front of you in your fucking social media. That's not transferable. So perceived natural status, high status job, high status lifestyle, thorough money status advantage, and exotic advantage. Most dating coaches will not tell you that they have these advantages, so it's not actually transferable to you. And here are some of my student late testimonials, many of which you have never ever fucking seen before for the video testimonial. They'll all be posted. None of my students DHVs at all. Hell, they don't even use alcohol in the bedroom and wrestle with her with goddamn romantic sexual flirts. They have my game style. Their style, I don't teach it. My escalation ladder has 5 steps. They have 4 steps. We don't have the same steps. I don't have this my father routine bullshit. I don't have all this, their palm reading routines. I don't have any of that stuff. For them, they deal with all the objections through alcohol and her consent. So she doesn't not consent, and they wrestle with her in the bedroom. But don't listen to the wrong dating coaches. I want to be able to make people understand. Those who keeps telling you this BS advice that has 5 Daygame late testimonials, like self-proclaimed high leg count guy. He has no fucking expertise. If he says, oh, you got a DHV to move things forward, or you got to sexualize it. And I could get the students focusing on social skills and social calibrations, which gives you a lot more points than goddamn DHV stories or sexualizing and moving it forward. That's the problem, because DHV stories does not work for lower SMV Asians. If they're below 5'9", skinny Asian men for Daygame with white women. And here's the first testimonial. He used the Instagram because he's a millionaire. So it worked on a model who was half Asian and half white. The other one, it worked with another model, but it just didn't work for white women in general. It's just a waste of fucking time. The thing I was trying to tell Asians with lower SMV, with a 0 out of 10 perceived natural status, if you're slightly fobby, don't fucking DHV. He's a millionaire. He can travel. He's a good lifestyle. Only Asian women cared, or half Asians. He wasn't like a middle SMV guy, like whitewash or Indian Latino, somewhere in the middle or higher, to use this stuff to boost his status score, which will be more equivalent if you're starting from the middle to get to the top like a white guy. But they'll only be able to boost maybe to 4 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 with their status maxing. That's not a lot of points. That's a waste of fucking time. And not everyone's a millionaire. That's the problem, because some of you are goddamn engineers. That means I wasn't able to make people understand. Those who tells you this kind of BS advice has like 5 Daygame lay testimonials and no expertise. Oh, DHV to move things forward, you gotta sexualize it. Let alone get the students focusing on social skills, social calibrations, which gives you more points. And that's kind of funny because why did it fail? The problem was that when I was listening to this 5'7" millionaire student's infield, he was DHVing directly, try hard without even knowing it. He would say, oh, I have this great job. I travel all these countries the same as her, which meant white women doesn't believe this short, average, Asian-looking Chinese. That meant even if he told her the truth, it doesn't seem believable. White women, in his case, just gets turned off. They swipe left in real life as if he was in the same category as all the other losers or beta males she swiped left on Tinder, trying to hit on her, giving her validation, DHVing directly and showing off. They don't believe the 5'7" Chinese. Unless you're taller, like 5'9", 5'11", it looks more plausible with more muscles. But so they get turned off completely, 100%. Even if you aren't intentionally DHVing. So if he says something like he traveled to all these countries that she was from, she will think, oh, showing off, beta male, swipe left, leg slam shut. There is no recovery from that. And it happened every infield. So what happened? He wasted a lot of time. Since I was finally listening to his infields at the end. I mean, he's already got 5 to 6. I mean, he's got 6 to 7 lays, I think. So for pickup, he's already done good. He's already done good. But now he's kind of plateaued a little bit because he can't stop listening to self-proclaimed high lay count guy. Now he's going back to RSD advice once I peeled off all the layers of bullshit, which I'm going to help you do with this video. He was talking super fast, which never works. It's off the line. So he's like, that's how he talks, like, you're not Vietnamese. Plus DHVing at every single infield audio he sent me where women gets turned off. I mean, I myself am a 5'7" Chinese. I have experienced this exact phenomenon myself. That's why I tell my students not to DHV. So for example, when you look at this chart, that's what I'm trying to teach you all. That none of my 523 lay poll testimonials actually DHV. It's not even being taught since it wasn't a necessary step. It might raise 1 or 2 points for lifestyle or your job if you have a good one, but 2 points versus 5 points of social skills, social calibrations, and 1 point for emotional control. You can see on the bottom of the chart, social skills 2.5. You see on the bottom left, social calibrations 2.5. That's 5 points. And just by taking ashwagandha, that gives you 6 points for emotional control. It's not about emotional impact, emotional control. That's 6 additional points. So it's better to focus on that. And the problem with all this stuff, the 15 out of 35 was mystery was very Asperger's. Look at them, 15 out of 35. There's no social skills or emotional control in night game. Day game, you need all the skills, social calibrations, emotional control, and game and persuasion. Tinder, just 12 out of 35. So it was crystal clear to me how to educate people. If we do the math, those without social skills, validating nonstop with the zombie flow drill, are all status maxing with DHV stories. That's what they're doing. It was a crutch. They had to use DHV stories to raise their value because they didn't have any social skills and social calibrations like ABCs of low self-esteem. But this isn't transferable to the average PUA. Never mind the short Asian, because she doesn't believe you when you try to DHV. Also, not everyone makes 6 or 7 figures as an entrepreneur. As my students, they try to utilize these 5 status maxing traits, but not everyone has them. You know, they're not entrepreneurs. They're fucking engineers and nerdy left brain shit. Because I saw DHV stories were a complete lie. Self-proclaimed high lay count guy had a massive fucking grift. This approach anxiety mentally challenged grift. The only person who got laid from this motherload of bad advice was some Negro music producer banging some Asian women with low SMV and Daygame. He had 300 people in this stupid fucking course for the crash test. A crash test means when everything is tough and it was full pressured, like a crash test, and you see what sticks, what works. Only one Negro. I mean, this dumb night game technology, this 15 out of 35 bullshit. ABC's a low self-esteem mystery method style didn't get any new late testimonials for Daygame during this year's pandemic. And inflation, since misery method is shown not to work at the worst circumstances, is not only a pandemic, but inflation too. I also learned that mystery method is not for Daygame. I zoom in on that chart. 15 out of 35 is night game shit. Tinder is 12 out of 35, as you can see there. They're clueless. Of course, there are other coaches status maxing. They look like a higher race using alcohol to wrestle with women in the bedroom to deal with her objections and consent. I am not talking about how they know they are talking, like they don't know what they're talking about either. Because everything before the alcohol or the status max, I mean, before the alcohol conversion mechanism, the crutch, everything before it does not work. It cannot stand on its own, just like some people. If they use Instagram, right, and they have status maxing, which you cannot do, everything before that cannot stand on its own. So you need to focus on social calibrations, social skills, emotional control first, since all the naturals have these three categories the same. It's built into the neural pathways without any training. Even if their day game tactics vary for the naturals, all three are identical. And you'll get more points than just status maxing if you aren't a 6 or 7 figure entrepreneur instead. Because they can status max, get a few points, but why not focus on Elite 30 or Kaizen? Get that 5 fucking points right there. Here's the cold hard truth. As a result, I start to explain to people in my last post that social calibrations is a lot like the 55%, as you can see in this chart. You see the green part? That's the nonverbal communication of Elite 30. Tonality is only 33%. That's it. Game tactics is a goddamn 7%. So fuck DHV stories. It's a waste of fucking time. If my students can get laid faster without it, then remove that. It's an unnecessary step. Don't optimize what doesn't need to be optimized. It speeds up delay. Instead of all rejecting you if you're a 5'7" average looking Chinese who is skinny. After that, I started getting nonstop lay pool testimonials. Suddenly I was getting way too many lay pool testimonials to count. 523 now. 523. And they're like, oh yeah, they're using my system. And bullshit. My system does not involve. Okay, the only thing that's similar is in the beginning, I don't go for fast moving sets for the students. Everything else is different. The way they conduct themselves, the way they stand, the way they tease, flirt, and do all this push shit. I don't do that except teasing their stupid, their stupid routines to get her walking. I don't teach that shit. Or you a planned person or whatever person. That's outdated shit. I don't teach that. I teach something else. I don't have this stupid my father routine bullshit. And I don't have they have a 4-step escalation ladder. I have a 5-step. It's different. Plus, they use alcohol to deal with objections, to sexualize it so she cannot consent, and they wrestle with her in the bedroom. I don't teach that. Whatever they teach, I don't teach. That's why I got 523 lay pool testimonials. I got a fraction of that. All right, for social skills and social calibrations. That's when I realized that the secret to make people understand that not everyone can status max for DHV stories unless you are an entrepreneur with 6 to 7 figures who can travel well with a high status job. Number 1, perceived natural status. Number 2, high status job. Number 3, high status lifestyle. And 4, thorough money status advantage. Number 5, exotic advantage, with the focus on indicators of social skills and social calibrations. You see, Mystery was so autistic, he could only see positive reactions like a zombie, not positive compliance. He saw DHV stories as evolutionary psychology, saying caveman told stories, but he can't perceive indicators of social skills or social calibrations. That also happens in a tribe for cavemen, since the tribe leader has social calibrations or body language. So here's my plan. My plan was to start educating people that DHV stories should be debunked. Also, it should stay in a year in the early 2000s where it belongs because it's a fucking fossil. So I'm debunking. So I start educating people that DHV stories are total bullshit for Daygame. It didn't work for my Chinese student who's 5'7", who kept following self-proclaimed high leg count guys for every tactic until they kept failing, slowing down his progress. This was the latest thing to deal with. And the misery method simply isn't effective as a Daygame system. But I didn't stop there. I then taught them that DHV stories are only for those with the 5 secrets of status maxing. You know, perceived natural status, high status job, high status lifestyle, thorough money status advantage, and 5 exotic advantage. It isn't transferable to most that has a normal job with normal obligations. DHV is unnecessary. After that, I taught the social calibrations or body language creates a faster conversion to get laid since it has 5 points. Plus ashwagandha gives you the additional 6 points. So if you have to DHV, for example, they're still worshiping so hard since they have no critical thinking. But if you had to DHV, which I do not recommend, think of it as the movie Inception. They went inside a dream 3 layers deep. I think 5 layers, but they implanted a message at the very bottom to their subconscious. So the first step is obviously don't try hard. Like, I'm a club promoter, I'm a DJ. And then validation. I love you, right? High five. You have nice eyes. Wow, cool. I have all these supercars. It's not like that. So really the first step is going deeper. You know, my job's kind of hard. I have to work 5 days a week as a club promoter, but that's still very direct. She might get turned off. Of course, it doesn't matter what layer you go to. If you're an Asian that's 5'7", that's average looking with no fucking value, she doesn't fucking believe you. So deeper would be like, you know, it's tiring. I have to do more. Like, I have to do my job more. But the bouncer always tells me that I'm helping a lot of people by doing this. Same with the bartender. So she might ask, like, what's your job? And then he's like, oh, you know, I'm just a club promoter, no big deal. It's like a French fucking plate with a silverware. You open it and you close it. And she's like, tell me more about it. You open it again. Yeah, no big deal. Close it again. If you want to go deeper, inception level, say, I have a very stressful job. I have to get a lot of people to the club at this time. But do you know one of my friends, Fred, met his wife there? It makes it all worthwhile. It's very, very indirect. So you can see for inception, there's many levels deep. As they're going deeper and deeper, there's like 5 levels to the very bottom. But DHV does not need to go beyond the 3rd level. So it ended up so frustrating. I want to educate people how to DHV properly if you had to do it, but don't fucking do it. It does not need to be there. Just like Elon Musk says, do not optimize what does not need to be optimized and eliminate unnecessary steps. Also, be less dumb. The first 3 traits of his 5 traits of like engineering. So it works better without it. Use behavioral game of Elite 30 where you can same day lay with ease, since she's not off the line if you can maintain the body language and use a social skill flow drill. I choose to call it the Inception DHV. So in closing, mystery method isn't effective for Daygame for those who has no status maxing. Even if you do have it, white women doesn't even believe short Asians when they DHV. They get all rejected for incidentally showing off to her, even if it's unintentional. So I can now teach people how to DHV properly, even if I don't teach my students this garbage. Habits, not tactics, man. Habits. Behavioral game Elite 30. After 523 late poll testimonials for Daygame, I created Inception DHV concept. I then start to let other day gamers use this inception DHV concept. My Pakistani mentor taught me this. So I'm okay sharing with the world. But he can DHV because he has perfect social skills, perfect social calibrations already, some lifestyle. He's already over the line. He's not like 20 out of 35. He's like 26 out of 35. So a little bit DHV might help him, but I don't recommend it for everyone else. That's like a 5'7" Chinese average looking person. So I just made this video right now. It was only like an hour ago. I just put everything together. Let's just see what it looks like. I'll upload it right now. If it works, I'll make more future videos like this so it's easier to see and easier to understand.